I gotta go get that paperwork for my next new job. So I'm gonna go now to get it. I hate to drive all the way down there, but I better because I don't want to let it go too long. She might think I don't want the job. Now I'm gonna go. Oh, it's cold. Oh my God, it's true. Oh, it's cold, it's cold, it's cold. Cold. Oh, it's cold. It is 8:13 a.m. And it is Thursday, November the 13th, 2014. This one's charging, and the one I'm videoing with is charging. If I plug this one into charge, it won't charge. But this little disc recorder is actually recording. I checked it last night, and it's recording. So that's a good thing. Okay. Let's see. All right. Always fun to have somebody make a fool out of you in public, which is what happened to me at the library last night. You know, that's ridiculous to me. It is. It's unbelievable that people can do that. I'm not going to submit to that. I'm an adult. I'm 44 years old. And I'm not going to be treated like I'm a child. And basically the whole goal is to browbeat me and treat me like a child and whip me with the whips and chains to submit to the authority of some jackass with a badge. Those librarians were told by a police officer who I don't know that is claiming to be supervising me what that police officer felt was the right thing for me. I've been through this before. Been banned like from the Bossier Library. For a month, I was banned there because I wouldn't go into a meeting after I confronted a librarian that was harassing me and doing terribly there at that library. This librarian, she wasn't a certified librarian. She was just somebody that worked at the circulation desk, obviously not educated, but got a job working as a librarian. There's a shocker in the state of Louisiana. She kept hovering over me and Jake when we would go to the Bossier Library and use the computers when we lived close by there. And she would start doing things like, you know, logging us in or, you know, pushing papers to print, telling me how to do things that I didn't ask her. And she wasn't doing that to anybody else. So she was trying to supervise me and Jake, and I was like, you know, you don't need to be doing this. Really, thanks anyway. and kept having to tell her that, and then she would, one day I went to check out, well, I had asked for more time on the computer because I was uploading videos to my family photo album, or photos to my family photo album, and she refused to give it to me. And there were only 2 other people in the whole computer lab area. And she decided, no, I couldn't, and she told me I couldn't have any more computer time. So another lady was there and heard it. She's like, look, just use my library card. So I got to do it, and I didn't address the issue with her anymore. I resolved the problem myself, and another patron who observed the whole situation and said, God, you know, this is really ridiculous. They let people have extra time on the computers whenever they need it, and you're doing, you know, your photos for your photo album. Why wouldn't she? She's like, here, just use my library card. And, you know, then I went to Leave and check out DVDs and books. This librarian who had been harassing me there at the Bossier Library, playing snitch games for a jackass with a badge. She was writing in a documentation log where she had sheets bound together with dates and times describing me and Jacob and what we'd done, and she was describing the conflict that I had with her over more computer time, and she was writing on there that I refused to accept the limitation of not being given more computer time because I'd already had my allotted amount of time, and you know, there wasn't any reason for her not to give it to me because, you know, they give it to other people. If you go up and ask them for it, they'll tell you, just come and ask us if you need more time. Like yesterday when I was at the Broadmoor Library, I had to move from one seat to another and to a whole other section of the library because of the harassment that I was experiencing and my son was experiencing at the hands of the informants there. Teenagers, they kept going to the back of the reference stacks, laughing loudly. One teen boy who videotaped me and Jake, I don't even know what the Asian man sitting on my right was doing, but he kept getting up whenever I got out of my seat, which caused me to have to log in and log out quickly. On top of that, one computer had me logged in on 2 different computers. So, I had logged into one and decided to move to get away from the kids laughing in the back. And, I logged into another computer and then went back to the first one because I couldn't log into the second one. It wouldn't let me. I went back to the first one, and it said that that looks like that red pickup truck. It said that that computer was on hold, and I waited and waited enough time for it to not be on hold anymore. And then I finally typed my that looks like that red pickup that's on the next street over, but I'm not going to chase it. That's why I have to turn this way. There's a redheaded woman that's fat and has facial features like mine that lives the next street over. Drives a little red mini pickup truck with a chrome toolbox on the back of it, and it looked like that red truck that was just ahead of me on the street. May or may not have been her. But anyway, I didn't use the time. If you check the record, I didn't get to use my time last night that I'm allotted because I had to move due to the harassment that I was experiencing, which was unchecked by the library staff. And these children are being used as informants, and they're being allowed to openly engage in the behavior that they are engaged in. I've never, given a police officer consent to talk to anybody I associate with or people I go to, for like cashiers or librarians, or, somebody in a service capacity at a place of business where I would be making a purchase or using their facility like a library. Never given anybody consent to do that. And certainly have not given anybody consent to interview people at the places where I go, right? So I didn't get to use. I had to log in and log out twice without using the allotted time. Each time you log in, you get an amount of time. You can sit there for up to 6 hours. I had only gotten there and logged in to the computer, about 4:15. And I wouldn't ask for more time. I guess it was about, 7:30 or 8. And I had been sitting in, because Jake and I moved to a different section of the library because of the harassment, and I sat at a table without a computer to get away from the harassment. So I was unable to use the computer at all because of the harassment by informants. So saying that I'd already used my time, I even told the librarians, that I had to move because these kids were acting the way they were. And there was a boy videotaping me and Jake. They acted like it didn't even matter. And that shows great prejudice on their part because they should have been concerned about, those types of behavior issues. And they showed no concern at all and didn't care. And that's because they know what's going on. They know what those kids are doing to me and Jake. And they don't care that they're harassing me and Jake. And, of course, to have to move from our location in the library, so that shows extreme prejudice on their part for their failure to investigate that. And they have video cameras there, so they could have pulled the tape and seen it. And they're not going to do that. But they took away my civil rights and did not allow me, to get a guest pass because I, no longer was able to use my login due to the fact that I had to log in 3 times. And they've done that for 5 years. Anytime you wanted more time, I've gone up there several times, Jake's gone up there several times, and I see them, the librarians, all the time giving people guest passes that can't use their library card for one reason or another. So, that was bull, and that was an arbitrary decision by the librarians to decide who they were going to allow to use the library computers and who they're not. Well, it's not up to them to decide that. Their policy in the past, which has been stated to me several times, is we don't care who uses the computers. As long as there's a computer open and there's nobody waiting, if you need to use one, you can. And if you need more time than what you've already used and you've used up all your card, library card time, then it's okay with us if you have extensions. And if you give an extension to one person, you can't show favoritism and say, well, that's a good reason for her, but not for you. And that's the policy, and that should be the policy, in all honesty. The library is there to serve the community. It's not there for the librarians to decide who gets to use it. And if the computer is empty, and there were many computers empty when I went and asked for a guest pass last night, you can look at the video and see that. There was no reason for them to say you've already used up all your time. Even if I had and I hadn't used it, I was forced off my computer and didn't get to use my logins. I think I was logged in maybe 5 or 10 minutes on the second login, and that was it. It wasn't long. So, those are other issues to consider, and those are all arbitrary issues. And putting librarians in the position of being the judge to say, okay, you get to have more computer time and you don't, that's not their privilege. They are there to perform the functions of a librarian, which is, to assist patrons with the use of the library. It is not their position or their authority to tell patrons that they cannot use the facilities. If the facilities are available to be used and they're available publicly for everyone, then if those facilities are available, if the computers are available for use, then whoever wants to use them should be able to use them. And that has always been their stated policy, which they've stated to me, and I probably have them. I even asked them after things happened the way they did in Bossier, what they thought about it, and they said, we don't mind, even if you've used all of your computer time. If there's nobody waiting and we don't have, people waiting for a computer, you can stay on it there as long as you want to, and we'll give you a guest pass. So, and I've been going there. Jake and I moved here in March of 2009, and Jake and I have been going to the Broadmoor Library since 2009. So, and, you know, I went and told Jake that. He said, oh, they've given me guest passes. You know, he said, yeah, they've given him guest passes several times. So, these are librarians that are doing what a police officer's told them to do. And that's a ridiculous position. What's happened in the Bossier Library should have never happened. Saying that this is our policy, inventing a policy that doesn't exist, and even if it did exist, would probably be judged to be in violation of the Constitution because taxpayers pay for the computers, and putting a limit on saying, no, you can't use it more than that. The reason people are given 3 logins is because that's supposed to be what is deemed to be more than enough in case they need it for that long. It's not meant to be this is the only amount of time. And it shouldn't be limited because the computers are paid for by taxpayers, and if they're available, then the taxpayers who are paying for them, such as me, should be able to use them. The library staff shouldn't have the right to refuse people access to facilities that are available and not being used. And, you know, it's not going to hurt anything or cause any damage to property or anything like that. So, and that's always been their position. So what's happened here is this cop has decided to try and sew up every little fuck up that he's made by playing these stupid games and saying stuff like this. And what's even funnier about it is that guy who was so abrasive to me actually printed out a guest pass when I asked him for one and set it down and told me no, I couldn't have it. So he knew that was the policy because he was going to do it. And then he decided, and you can listen to the tone and the way he spoke to me, it was unbelievably disrespectful and insulting and humiliating. And he talked to me like I was a child. And it was an inappropriate response. I told him, no, that's not your policy. When did you change it? He wouldn't answer me. And I asked him, you know, what's going on here? You know, it is an inappropriate response to refuse to answer that question. And he responded by lying and said that's always been our policy. Well, then why did he print it out when I asked for it? And everybody knows that that's not the policy, so he was lying. And that's an inappropriate response. I'm an adult. I'm not a child. If I ask you a question, I expect the truth from you. If you're going to lie, then you are the one who's behaving childishly, not me. And to lie, to cover your ass, and refuse to give a reasonable explanation, and it's not a reasonable explanation to say this has always been our policy, because that's not true, and we all know that it's not true, okay? I'm not a child. I ask for an answer. I expect an appropriate response. And lying to me and then talking to me as though I'm a child is actually childish behavior with a terrible, intimidating tone and hateful tone of voice and all. Those are childish behaviors. Children do that when they don't get their way. And it's not an adult behavior to behave that way. On top of that, they called security. So I told them, no, you're harassing me. He said, that's always been. No, it's not. You're harassing me. And I'll turn around and walked away. Because that's what they're doing. They're trying to provoke me. And they're trying to say that I expect things that I don't have a right to expect to. And he said, well, maybe some librarians don't respect the policy. No. If they don't respect the policy, then it's not the policy. See how that works? You don't get to have the policy for some people and not for others. And if you're not using that policy, and it's widespread and widely known that anybody can do the guest pass thing after they've used their card, and I didn't use my time. They're saying that I didn't get to do it because I used up all my time already. I explained to them, no, I didn't. I had to move from computer to computer. I didn't get to use my time. So they completely ignored that. So, you know, that's what it is. All right, it is 8:32. Rowan's clock here is 2 minutes fast. So let me go in here and get some paperwork that I'm supposed to have.